A very good afternoon to all the students and aspirants present here in this webinar. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Krishnadev Singh. I am an assistant professor with the School of Law UPES, and the topic of the webinar today is understanding law specializations. This particular topic has been split into two webinars. Part 1 is being conducted today and part 2 will be conducted next week with another faculty from School of Law, Mr. Azim Bahadur Khan Pathan. Uh, so let's dig a little deeper into what this particular topic is and what is its relevance. Understanding law specialization. So first of all, my first assumption before I address all of you is that you are in the long run or in the short run trying to aspire for a law course, a law degree that you will pursue after your plus two, and that will make you a lawyer, an eligible advocate who can practice law at any court of law in India. And you are also trying to make up your mind as to what particular specialization or what particular degree is good for you. And in this context, we are trying to answer this question of what specializations really are, right? So let me go into a little bit of history. Some of you may know what I'm going to say, some of you may not know. So to bring everyone on the same page, let's go into the history of where the law programs have come into India from, and I'll not go back very far. Let's go back, say, 30 years, early 1980s, and before that, after independence, all of that time. My question is, how exactly one pursued law degree at that point of time? So 30 years ago, if somebody wanted to be a lawyer, what did he have to do? The answer to this question is that you could not become a lawyer until you had done a graduation degree. That means you could not become a lawyer after completing your plus 2 or your 12th or whatever name you call it by. After you had done your plus 2 at that point of time, you first had to do 3 years of a minimum 3 years of graduation degree. That could be any graduation degree, that could be BA degree, BSc degree, BBA degree, even BTech degree. And only once you had completed that degree could you pursue law. You could start studying law only after you had got your degree, which was the graduation degree. And after that, you had to spend another 3 years, which was the LLB degree, which is the law degree. So, in a sense, the model of legal education was that you first complete your plus two, then you complete minimum 3 years of graduation, and then you do 3 years of LLB degree further, making it a minimum of 6 years of education after plus two before you could become a lawyer. Now, the reason why I'm telling all of this history to you right now is because this is exactly what changed in the year 1987. 1987 was a watershed year in the history of legal education when a new rule was introduced and a new kind of law degree was introduced. And this was called the integrated legal education model, where what the government and the regulators did is they merged the graduation degree with the law degree. So what they did is, for example, one of the first degrees of this kind was a BA LLB degree. Now, as the name suggests, it has a BA component in it and it has an LLB component in it. Exactly what you did earlier, right? You first did BA and then you did LLB. But what is different? Two very important things are different. Number one, that in this new model, you did not do BA first and then LLB, right? Which was what you were doing earlier. In this new model, you were doing BL and LLB simultaneously at the same time. So right from your first semester or first trimester, your education in BA subjects such as history, political science, etc. will start. And at the same time, alongside parallelly, you would also start studying the basic law subjects. This is the first difference. Difference number two, the degree now saved 1 year of your time. Earlier, you had to spend minimum of 6 years. Now, if you integrated BA and LLB, the degree that came together could be completed in only 5 years, which is exactly one less than what was the combined duration of the program earlier. So, as a consequence of which, now there came a 5-year integrated law degree in the form initially of BA LLB. It was launched in NLS Bangalore, National Law School, Bangalore, a very famous university, one of the leading universities when it comes to legal education in India. Uh, and then slowly and steadily, in fact, it almost took another 10 to 11 years before another law school opened this program, which was Nalsar in Hyderabad. And once it caught vogue, then it very quickly became the dominant model of legal education. So quickly, most of the established universities as well as uh, new universities adopted the new model, and they started providing legal education to those who wanted to do law in 5 years. And of course, another benefit that came out of this entire situation was that you could start pursuing your law degree right after plus two, so you did not have to wait till your graduation degree was over. Uh, then it spread with other degrees. So now not only BA could be integrated with LLB, but at the same time, BBA could be integrated with LLB, BCom could be integrated, BSc could be integrated, and even BTech could be integrated theoretically with LLB degree. Uh, so that is the history of how we have transitioned from 6 year model to a 5 year model, essentially an integrated model. But the flip side of this model is that BLLB doesn't mean BA and LLB. It doesn't mean that any longer. Now BLLB is one thing. So you cannot complete 2 years and then say, okay, I get my BA degree and I don't want to pursue my LLB degree any longer. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way anywhere, because BLLB is no longer two degrees combined together. They are one degree in which two different erstwhile degrees have been integrated into one. Right. So let me also quickly introduce the institution I come from, and tell you a little bit about what its philosophy was that led to the entire specialization model, and how is it different from the regular BLLB model. So I represent, as you already know, the School of Law from University of Petroleum and Energy Studies, UPES, Dehradun. The School of Law, the university was established in the year 2003, but the School of Law was established in the year 2007. And since 2007, which is more than 10 years now, we have been constantly delivering legal education to a number of students, and we have made successful contributions to the industries. A lot of our students are representing top law firms, top companies, and are also placed with government organizations. Some of them have already cleared the judge examination, and they have become civil judge in various states. Uh, so what exactly did School of Law do, which was different compared to other law degrees that were already being provided in other institutions in the country? Uh, the word specialization comes here. So BLLB or BLLB honors. In fact, even these two are different, but I'll not go into that right now because that's not important. Honors means a few more subjects as compared to a pure BLLB degree. But just keep in your mind that there's a term called BLLB honors, which most of the universities today do provide. If you go to any NLS, etc., National Law School in Bangalore, or Nalsar in Hyderabad, or NLIU from Bhopal, etc. I myself am a graduate from NLIU Bhopal, and my degree also reads BLLB honors. Uh, Now, honors degree doesn't really give you exposure to one specific area of law where you can develop some sort of specialization, right? So what is specialization? A specialist is someone who can do one particular thing very well, so well that most people of his own profession cannot do that particular thing very well, right? In medical profession, if there's a doctor, if he's called specialist, then he would specialize in one of the areas of your body. So somebody might be specializing in bones, other could be in heart, so you'd be a cardiac specialist. Somebody would be in brain related areas, so it would be a neuro specialist. So I'm just giving this example to make you understand that what specialization actually means is that you have specialized or special knowledge or more knowledge in one particular area of the study area that you are doing, as compared to other people. And this is exactly what School of Law did different compared to other law degrees that were being provided in other universities, that we introduced specialization model. So here is how it works. At the degree that we offer, let's say I'll just name the first degree that you should know about is BALLB honors with specialization in energy law. So this is the name of the first degree that I'm going to be talking about today, that School of Law and UPS offers. Now, what happens in this is, so pay attention to the name once again. BALLB honors with specialization in energy laws. BLLB honors is that part which is common to all other degrees that are law degrees that are BLLB, right? So therefore, what we are basically saying is we are providing a degree that gives you as much knowledge as any other BLLB honors degree anywhere in India. So all basic law subjects are covered. Constitutional law is covered, criminal law is covered, law of torts, law of contracts, procedural laws, so on and so forth. And there are a number of them which are mandated that must be taught. They're all taught. And as a consequence, a student that pursues BLLB degree with specialization in energy laws at UPES gets the basic education in law as much as any other graduate. But in addition to that, right? So what I want you to focus on is in addition. We are not taking away anything from the existing model. We are not removing anything from BLLB degree. We are only adding some things to BLLB degree. And these things are the specialization subjects. 8 subjects, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 subjects in addition to what is being taught in BLLB honors are also provided to you, but these 8 subjects are focused in this case on energy laws. Whatever the area of specialization is the area in which these 8 subjects, and these 8 subjects are designed by people who are working in industry, who are working in that particular area of specialization, and are actually able to understand what the various aspects of that particular specialization is, and they provide inputs to us, and we design course curriculum around these 8 topics, 8 subjects that are added to the curriculum which the students study. And then when you pass out, when you graduate after 5 years, you have studied all BLLB honors subjects. And in addition to that, you have studied 8 subjects which are focused on a particular area. And it gives you specialization. It gives you the ability to practice law better in that particular field of specialization as compared to others. As a consequence of which, you can call yourself specialized in energy laws, right? So I think I have been able to draw a picture for you as to what specializations mean and what they are not, right? So specializations don't mean that you can't practice other laws. It doesn't mean that you don't know basic laws, you only know specialized laws. It only means that in addition to knowing basic laws, in addition to being able to do anything else, you're able to do one thing specifically well, which is your area of specialization. Now the next question is that I will be addressing is, what are the specializations that School of Law actually offers? Right? So I'll start, as I already mentioned, with the first one. This is our oldest program, which is the BLLB honors with specialization in energy laws. What are energy laws? Any law that governs any particular area of power and energy, right? Are energy laws. What are the areas of power and energy? First of all, thermal power, right? Thermal power, the power that is produced by burning of coal and that produces much of the electricity that we consume, not only domestically but industrially, is thermal power. Second is, of course, hydropower, power that is made from the hydro energy stored in dams. Uh, that's not all. Renewable sources, many of them, bioenergy, solar energy, very important upcoming area is of course solar energy, then wind energy, then energy of ocean thermal power, and then last but not the least, nuclear energy. All of these are different areas of energy. And these are very important. I mean, I don't have to explain why they are important. They are actually running the entire modern civilization because they power our houses, they power our industries, they power the very civilization that we are living in. As a consequence of which, you cannot leave them outside the law, right? Every particular activity of that human beings engage in, and especially an important activity of this particular nature, has to be regulated. And therefore, the comes into picture the concept of energy laws. Uh, all the laws that govern either thermal or hydro or other kinds of renewable energy or or nuclear energy, they are called energy laws. There are many of them. Electricity Act is one of them. There are several others, and all of them have to be practiced because there are several things that lawyers need to do in these particular areas when they help their clients. For example, if a company is trying to be a distributor of electricity, then he has to follow certain rules. If he is trying to be a producer of electricity, he has to follow certain other rules. There are compliances to be made, there are documents to be submitted to the government, so on and so forth. And of course, there are cases to be fought. So every electricity company is a subject of unlimited number of cases that are filed against them by people. Everybody, for example, if today I get a electricity bill, which says I have to pay 10,000, and I know that I this is some kind of an error. I shouldn't have to pay 10,000 because that's not the kind of electricity consumption I'm doing. So where will I go? I'll go into one of the legal forums in one of the courts, and then who will be the other party? The company who has to answer who's billing you. That may be a government company, but at the same time it's a company, and therefore it has to come to the court and answer your allegations. So as a consequence of which, the electricity company will also need some kind of a legal counsel, a legal representation, and here comes the role of energy lawyers. So this is one of the areas, and very very important, and as I said, one of the oldest programs that we are offering in School of Law. Let me move on to number two. This is BBA LLB corporate laws. So now also please keep noticing that the degree, the first half of our degree is also changing. First was BA LLB. BA means Bachelor of Arts and LLB. BBA LLB is Bachelor of Business Administration with LLB. So now you would not really be studying history, political science, sociology in the beginning. What you would be studying is business methods, organizational behavior, business accounting, basics, just to give you an idea of how business is run. And that is why they have been combined in the form of specialization with a degree known as degree of BBLLB with specialization in corporate laws. Corporate law is a term that is very very well recognized term in the area of law and in the area of legal education and legal practice. What are corporate laws? Very simply put, I mean there is a lot of complication, but I'll just give you the simplest answer that I can. The laws that pertain to companies and their activities are corporate laws. The word corporate actually is nothing but about companies. So therefore, laws that deal with companies and corporations is known as corporate laws. Corporate laws are extremely broad in their perspective, and they are more so because India is has become a corporatized country over the past 25 years or so. Why? Why not before that? Why not after independence? There's a very simple reason, and those who have some background in Indian history or perhaps in commerce, etc., should know this, that after 1947, Indian government had followed a policy which was not very favorable to industries and not very favorable to commerce, and that went on till 1991. So, as a consequence of which, there was not a lot of business. The overall amount of business and businessmen and companies was very very low, uh, and most of them were government entities and government regulated entities. All of this changed in the year 1991, where a very important event took place, which is known as liberalization, privatization, and globalization, shortened as LPG. Uh, LPG changed the whole scenario of Indian economy. The way we are prospering today, high growth rate, higher living standards, etc., etc. It's all the result of the last 25 years, where companies were allowed to do business freely. To put it very, very simply, LPG means more companies can do more business, and not just that, the companies can actually uh, uh, come from abroad, come from US, etc., and perform business over here. So just give me a moment. This is very small technical issue that will be sorted in a moment. Right. So coming back next to what I was saying is, so more business means more legal intervention. If companies are performing just like the energy sector cannot be left outside the law, companies cannot be left outside the law. Their activities, their businesses cannot be left outside the law, because if you leave businesses outside the law, they will defraud, they will commit other kinds of uh, you know um, ethical and legal irregularities and illegalities, as a consequence of which the entire country will suffer, the entire economy will suffer. Therefore they have to be regulated. Companies have to be have to do a lot of things in the name of regulation. They have to file documents. They have to first incorporate themselves. There's a whole procedure as to how companies will be formed. So company formation, their memorandum, etc., etc. All of this also to be handled by lawyers. And then once they start doing business, there's so many things that that come under legal purview. Whether you are actually going into the market and creating products, manufacturing products, or you are in finances, you are a bank, you are some kind of institution, or you are in the energy sector, or you could be in any sector really. You could be a company of any kind, any description, and you would fall squarely within the needs and demands of corporate law, right? So this is what corporate laws is all about. The degree BBLLB honors with specialization in corporate laws provides you with specialization in the area of corporate laws. It gives you in-depth understanding of certain very critical areas of corporate laws, such as M&A, such as financial markets, or such as formation of companies, etc. And a student who has completed this particular degree is very well equipped to handle legal issues pertaining to corporate laws in the industry. Let me move on to our next degree, which is BCom LLB honors with specialization in taxation laws. So, as you may have noticed, BCom is the bachelor's part now. It's no longer a BA or BBA. BCom, of course, as you should know, is a Bachelor of Commerce, and it has been conjoined with the specialization of taxation laws. Taxation laws, what are they? I think easiest to explain in my understanding. I hope you all understand taxes. These are the charges that the government levy against citizens, companies, etc. They are of two types: direct and indirect. Direct taxes, such as income tax, has to be paid by anybody who has income beyond a certain level, and then there are slabs, etc. But there's a huge other area of taxation, which is indirect taxation, which has recently seen a very, very important change in the form of coming up of GST, goods and services tax. And there is a huge legal practice, both in terms of compliance as well as in terms of disputes. So government requires you to do a number of things, file documents, etc. All of them has to be done. That is where lawyers come into picture. And then there are disputes. So some company will receive a notice saying that you have to pay additional tax because of XYZ reason, and the company believes that this tax should not have to be paid, and therefore they will go into a court. And then there will be litigation, and then that is where lawyers come into picture, and lawyers have to ensure that their clients get the best possible result out of the court, and that is the practice of taxation laws. Essentially, taxation laws, do not underestimate, are a very huge practice, very, very huge practice. Some of the topmost lawyers of this country in the past have been taxation lawyers. If you are interested in law, you should know one of the most important legal luminaries of India was Advocate Nani Palkhiwala, and among other things, one of his areas of specialization was taxation laws. He used to have a huge taxation practice, and that gives you an underlining idea as to how important taxation laws are in general to legal practice. Moving on to the next degrees, these are the degrees that we have started recently, but they are picking up very fast, and they are even in a more specialized fashion, tailored to suit the needs of today. They are focusing even further in depth into certain areas that are very important and upcoming. So, for example, BALLB with specialization in labor law and criminal laws is my next degree that I'm going to be talking about. So this is again a BA degree, but there are two options now: labor law or criminal law. The reason why they have been designed like this is that now we are, for these particular degrees, also providing the option to the students that they can choose the specialization after they start their third year rather than at their first year. So if you choose for BLLB honors degree with specialization in labor law and criminal law, excuse me, you are essentially not choosing between labor law and criminal law in the first year. In the first and the second year, you study basic law subjects, your BA subjects, etc. And only in the beginning of the third year, you have to make a choice whether you want to go for labor law specialization or whether you want to go for criminal law specialization. So, what are these two specializations? What are labor laws? Labor laws are laws that govern industries and the labor that works into it. So labor means workforce, people who work in industry. So if industry produces, for example, food products, biscuits, anything else, there are people who are employed in those industries. They have to work, so there are conditions of their working, how they will be managed, how their compensation will be paid if something goes wrong, how can they go on strike, how can there can be a dispute resolution, etc., etc. There are rules with respect to all of those things, and these rules form part of labor law. Why is it important? It is very, very important because India is even today a very heavily industry oriented country. Agriculture is of course our backbone, but that is not sufficient. We have a lot of industries that support our economy, and these industries need labor, and they are only increasing. So I hope you have heard about the Make in India campaign. What Make in India campaign is essentially trying to do is increase this kind of industry in India, so that specifically focus on manufacturing sector, so that more things are produced in India, not just that those things which are going to be used in India, but even those things that are only produced in India but exported and they are sold elsewhere. So more production is needed, more labor is needed, and more labor is needed, you need labor laws. So labor laws therefore become a very important aspect of laws and specialization. The next is criminal law. I don't think I have to explain it. Everybody must know what criminal law is. The law that governs crimes. Um they are very important to the society, for the orderly smooth functioning of the society, for a just society. If there are too many crimes in a society, that's not a good society. I think I can simply put it that way. So criminal laws therefore play a very important role, and therefore criminal lawyers play a very important role. So what the BLLB degree with specialization in criminal laws tries to do is to provide specialization to you in criminal law, very niche areas of criminal laws. You get much more in-depth understanding. All lawyers, even those who are doing, for example, BBLLB in corporate laws, will also be studying criminal laws, basic IPC, basic CRPC. But they'll not be going into the kind of depth and detail that you will be going into once you have opted for BLLB criminal law degree. So it's a suited degree those who want to go for practice of criminal law, a very important role for society criminal lawyers play, and also very lucrative in the long run, and very good for social status of those who practice criminal law. Next is BBLLB with specialization in international trade and finance, or banking, finance and insurance laws. Now, just like BLLB with specialization either in labor law or in criminal law, this degree also provides you with two options. First option is international trade and finance law, and the second option is banking, finance and insurance law. In a sense, both of these specializations are corporate laws, right? But they are even more niche. They are focused on certain important and very uh, uh, upcoming aspects of corporate laws. What is international trade and finance? So again, going back to what I said earlier, LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization causes a lot of inter-country trade. Now our trade is not limited to Indians trading with Indians. Now Indians trade with Americans, Indians trade with Japanese, Indians trade with China, Indians even trade with Pakistanis, which is a reality. In spite of the political tensions that go on, Indians trade with European countries, so on and so forth. Now, since there's so much international trade, uh, laws need to govern this kind of international trade, and these laws are very detailed and elaborate and cause a lot of legal practice to happen, as a consequence of which we decided to start this particular specialization. So you will be focusing on those laws that deal with international trade and finance, international finance, how companies finance each other across the border, and that particular specialization becomes BBLLB with specialization in international trade and finance. Now I move on to my next, which is BBLLB degree, which is the second option. Again, you have to choose in the third year between international trade and finance, and the second one is banking, finance, and insurance law. Now you'd be wondering, what is banking, finance, and insurance law? Let me start with insurance. So I think insurance is very easy for us to understand. Insurance means there's a system which is that if you pay some small amount earlier and hedge against a particular problem that could happen later, it's called insurance. For example, medical insurance, right? So you don't know what will happen 20 years from now. God forbid, someone might suffer from some kind of ailment, disease, etc. And when ailments and diseases come your way, so come monetary expenses, because you have to go to the hospital, see the doctor, etc., etc. And that could happen to anyone, although we wish that it did not. So what we do is take a medical insurance. What does it do? We pay a small premium, a small amount of money right now, and we keep on paying it. And if it comes to the medical exigency that it actually occurs, then the insurance company pays your medical bills, etc. So this is just one example. Insurance are of number of times. Yes, there are life insurances, medical insurances, general health insurances, insurance to property, etc., etc. So insurance law is a very important area. Again, huge litigation happens in insurance, And therefore the practice of law is wide, and specialization in this area will help you understand various aspects of insurance laws. But that's not all. It also focuses on banking and finance. So banking and finance, again, I don't think it's very hard to understand. There are banks, and there are other financial institutions which are like banks but not necessarily exactly like banks. So they are also regulated by law. There's a lot of compliance that they have to do, and there's a lot of litigation that they enter into, and therefore the laws that govern them also form part of the specialization under international trade and finance and banking, finance, and insurance laws. Uh, so that's that, and I will definitely be taking questions. So if you have any questions, any queries, keep noting them down, and as soon as I'm done with a couple of other programs, I'll be inviting questions from your end, so that whatever is required in terms of clarification you can have right here and right now. So let me move on to the next one, which is BSc LLB degree. Now, BSc LLB degree is being introduced from next year. It is being introduced with three different specializations: IPR, Food and Health Law, and Medical and Forensic Law. Now, BSc LLB degree is, as the name suggests, an integrated degree between BSc, which is Bachelor of Science, and LLB. Now, by its very nature, BSc LLB degree is open to those students who took science background, either maths or biology, in plus two, because it involves technical education, it involves study of physics, chemistry, etc., and therefore this particular background is required. Now, BSc LLB is being given in specialization along with three different areas, as I said, and these areas are open to students to choose. Once you are here, you can choose which of these three areas to go into. First one is IPR. What is IPR? IPR is intellectual property rights. uh, Intellectual property rights are rights that are given in patents, copyrights, trademarks. Now, some of these words you may have heard. I will give you a very quick introduction to what are these. They are very broad areas of law, but I'll just give you the very simple idea. Patents are rights that are granted on inventions. So if somebody makes a new invention, he wouldn't want others to copy it, because what would happen is that if I make a new invention and others copy it, then it doesn't give me the benefit and the right and the money that I could have earned from it had others not been allowed to copy it. Whereas I created it, I put my energy, my money, my time, my skill into doing this particular invention, and the moment I do it, anybody can copy it, and that's not fair. So the law comes into picture, and the law says if somebody invents something, we will give him the right to not allow others to use it, and this is called the law of patents. Very important, because as the industry is growing, patents are going, yes, inventions are going, and with inventions growing, so are patents. Next is copyright. Copyrights are given in literary and artistic works. If I have written a book, if I have composed a music, etc., or if I have made a sculpture, then others should not be allowed to copy what I have done, right? So if I have taken years of my time to write a novel, and somebody else simply starts copying it, then I will not be able to get the monetary returns or the money that I can get from it in other cases. So copyright law stops others from copying what you have done. Trademark law deals with marks that you see everywhere. So if you go and look into a mall and you buy a Nike shirt, then what is Nike? Nike is the trademark. That arrow sign that you sorry, I'm sorry, the tick sign that you see when you buy a Nike product tells you that it is made by a very famous company. Or the Adidas sign, or the Reebok sign, or if you buy a car, then BMW, Audi. If you buy a laptop, then Toshiba, Dell, Apple, right? Apple becomes such an important logo and trademark today. There's a lot of laws that govern trademarks, and that particular area of law is called trademark law. And all three of them, in addition with a few others that I'm not discussing right now, but which are smaller areas, together become the area of intellectual property rights. Food and health law, as the name suggests, it deals with different aspects of food laws. So, for example, whenever there's a food manufacture, there are certain laws that have to be applied. Food and Drugs and Cosmetics Act comes into picture, and all of these regulations govern the food industry as well as the health industry, which deals with medicines and their manufacture and their sale, etc. So, this will be covered under food and health law. Next is medical and forensic law. Medical and forensic law deals with even further details of medical science, such as medical treatments, medical machines, medical innovation, forensics. Forensics basically means that how to extract information from pieces of evidence, right? So if there's a crime scene, if murder has happened, then to understand that if blood flew in a particular direction, then it must mean that some particular type of weapon was used. These are all forensic sciences, and forensics are also not now not just limited to real world crimes. They are also extending to cyber crimes, where crime happens through a laptop or a mobile phone, and then forensics have to deep delve into the laptop or the mobile phone to extract information as to who used it, where was it used from, etc., etc. So all of this is forensic and medical laws, and they will be given in specialization with the BSc LLB degree. I will be discussing one more, which is BTech LLB, with specialization in cyber laws as well as intellectual property rights. Now, I should also tell you something else about BTech LLB degree before I discuss what specializations mean. BTech LLB degree combines two degrees, which is BTech and LLB. So it's a more rigorous degree because BTech is a more rigorous degree as compared to a BSc degree. A BSc degree is in basic sciences, but BTech degree is specifically focused on technology and it's used, right? Therefore, BTech LLB degree combines, as I said, BTech degree and LLB degree. The other special thing about BTech degree is even the BTech component has a specialization, right? BTech can be done in mechanical, civil, chemical, etc., etc. So the question is, which field do we offer BTech in? So the answer is computer sciences. BTech LLB degree is offered in with specialization in the BTech component in computer sciences, and in the LLB component, the specializations are cyber law and IPR. What are cyber law and what are IPR? IPR I have just discussed, so I won't repeat it. What are cyber laws? Cyber laws are laws that govern computers and internet. So I was just mentioning about crimes being committed online, crimes being committed through laptops, internet, mobile phones, etc. So the laws that deal with such areas are also known as cyber laws. Cyber laws deal not only with crimes, they also deal with commerce. So commerce is happening online. You are every day buying products from Amazon, Flipkart, etc. Legal issues come up from there and legal practices comes up from there, which are known as the cyber laws issues. The discussion on LLM degree, I'll have a very quick discussion, a detailed discussion on LLM degree and its specializations will be done by Dr. Azim Pathan in the next part of this particular specialization, of this particular webinar, as well as Dr. Azim Pathan will also be focusing on various career opportunities with respect to different specializations that I have discussed today. So that kind of brings me to the end of what I'm trying to discuss with you today. These are all the various degrees that we offer. What are their durations? What are their uh, components? What are you going to study? What are you going to be becomes being specialized in? So on and so forth. So I had kept around 40 minutes for myself to speak, which are coming to an end, and I have been able to complete my discussion in this particular time. And my last 20 minutes are focused on your questions. So I hope you have been curious enough to ask various questions, and you have noted down your questions. And now I invite questions from your end, and whatever question is given to me, I'll try to answer uh, uh, in whatever best manner I can. So I can see the first message on this particular screen. Durgesh Kumar says thanks. Meghna Rana says, has it started? Naman says, hey guys. So Meghna has a couple of questions. Does energy law require a background of science stream in class 12? No. No. The answer to your question is no. Because energy laws, unlike you know BSc LLB, they don't really deal with the technicalities of energy. No. So as part of energy laws, you don't really have to understand what goes on inside a thermal power station in terms of chemistry, or in nuclear power plant, or the renewable energy sources, etc. You do not really have to understand the chemistry of it, but whatever you have to understand is fairly basic, fairly fundamental, which everybody can understand, and your focus will be on laws. You will be studying what the companies have to do, what documents they have to file, what basic minimum standards they have to follow, etc., etc., etc. And therefore, it is not really required that you have science background when doing BA LLB honors with specialization in energy laws. Meghna Rana also asked, taxation laws include accounting numericals, very basic ones, very basic ones. Uh, the amount of mathematics that you have to do in BCom LLB degree with specialization in taxation laws is very, very fundamental. All you need to know is mathematics till 10th standard, and that is something that everybody has understood. No further complicated requirement is there. Uh, in fact, I would say that the mathematical component of taxation laws degree is minimal. Most of what you are going to be studying is laws only. As I said just when discussing energy laws, I said you don't have to understand the chemistry, you have to understand the laws. And so is the case with BCom LLB degree. You don't have to understand the accountancy beyond a certain extent. You have to understand the laws, right? So the law will say the balance sheet has to be filed, and your job is to ensure as a lawyer that balance sheet is filed. The actual filing and creation of balance sheet is not your job, which is where numerical understanding is actually required, right? Which is something that the CAs will be doing. So that is why CA is different from law. And in CA, you need much more understanding of uh, technical areas such as, you know, accounting. And I'm not from accounting background, so I don't know what else goes there. But the amount of technical knowledge that you need to have for BCom LLB degree is very minimalistic. Yes, there are some basic mathematics involved, but very, very fundamental in nature, only up to 10th standard level. Yeah, so that I hope answers the questions that I can see till now on screen. Uh, Please feel free to post further questions so that I can give you the answers. Any queries with respect to BSc LLB, BTech LLB, BB LLB, corporate laws? Your question need not be focused only on the specialization. If you have any other question with respect to law education in general, you want to understand how to prepare for CLAT, what subjects to study, what routine to follow, how to choose the right college, how to choose the right degree, what will happen after you have completed your legal education, so on and so forth. Any query that you feel like having, feel free to ask, and I'll be happy to answer. All right, so since there are no further questions, I'll stop now. And thank you very much for attending this webinar. I hope your concepts with respect to what law degree is, what it gives you and what specializations give you have been clarified by today's session. Even in future, if you have any questions and queries, do post it through our enrollments team, and I'll be happy to answer any of your queries in due course as well. Thank you for joining. Have a good day.